Since the Buhari government came to power, what have you seen? What projects can you name that they have done?
I'm not Buhari's friend, but
Yeah.
I will not knock down the man because I do not.
We're not knocking
go
down the
around-
man. We're being very objective.
Why can't up till today look at the number of the scores of people that have been killed by supposed headers, bandits, and whatnot? Why can't we prescribe this group? Why can't we prescribe IPOB? Has IPOB killed anybody in Abuja?
If an employer lays his hands on an employee, my brother, I think that is your opportunity to cash out.
Welcome to episode 1 of Reactions. My name is Mr. Sao. I am a lawyer, the publisher of Page 36, and also an advocate for a greater Nigeria. As young Nigerians, we decided to create this platform or program to react to pressing national issues as they unfold weekly. It is our way of contributing to national discourse, not only to criticize and analyze these important national issues, but also to prefer solutions that we hope in one way or the other will help us grow as a nation and a people. Before I get to the topics we are going to be reacting to today, I would like you to meet my very intelligent panelists. Mr. Henry Oqua, kindly introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Henry Oqua. I am a communications consultant, a policy analyst as well, a patriotic Nigerian, basically. I want to see Nigeria better. I want to see Nigeria's people thrive. I want to see the resources that this country has being put to proper use.
Okay. I also have here Mr. Houston Nwachukwu.
Yeah, my name is Houston Nwachukwu, and I'm a political analyst and one who loves the country, Nigeria, and will continue to be a friend and a very patriotic citizen of Nigeria.
Okay, that's good. Okay, we're just going to move straight to the topics we have to discuss today, so let me look at this. So one of the biggest topics that we had this week was the James Ibori loot. There was a story of the James Ibori loot being expected from the UK, so for those who don't know who James Ibori is a former Delta State governor under the PDP, the People's Democratic Party. He was convicted for corruption in the UK some years ago, So there are different issues that came up from that topic this week, but what I would like us to discuss first is the issue of the House of Representatives actually accusing the President Buhari government of lying about the amount that is expected to be repatriated to the country. The federal government said we're expecting 4.2 million pounds. The House of Reps came and said that we're expecting 6.2 million pounds, which I find very shameful and embarrassing. So I don't know what you guys think about that. I'd like us to react to this first issue that actually happened concerning this loot. So what do you guys think, Mr. Henry?
I think it's how do I put it now? I'm relieved to see a part of this government actually say, hey, what's going on here? Do you understand? From the moment, a lot about governance is perception. You get when, for those of us who were not party members with the ruling party, we felt a certain kind of way when the 8th Senate was removed, when some of the officials did not come back and all of that. The fear in our hearts was these guys had done the little that they could do to put the government in check. What will happen now that the government has gotten you remember how much fight there was between how Saraki and his ilk even became principal officers in the Senate. You remember there was a lot of wahala and how Saraki went CTC and all of those things. Now, for me, that was the endorsement that 8th Senate had to go after the executive. Not necessarily go after, but to put the executive in check, which is what that arm of government is supposed to do. You get now, after all these years since the Saraki Senate was dissolved till now, I feel like this is the first time that any part of the legislature is saying, hey, what's going on here? You are saying it is 4.2, but we have it on good authority that it is 6.2 million pounds.
Yeah.
So where's the balance? So for me that is good. You know, it's not.
Yeah, but do you think the federal government lied? What's the evidence to show that the federal government lied?
Well, when it comes to evidence, I guess we may never know, but it's unheard of that the House of Reps that is supposedly on the same side, or the legislature which is supposedly on the same side with the executive, it's unheard of that the legislature will come out and say, but come on, this thing is not like this. When this normally happens is when the legislature and the executive are not on the same side. Tambuwal, Jonathan. You understand? During Tambuwal's time, the Senate was a bit more relaxed. You understand? But the House of Reps was throwing tantrums every now and then because they were not on the same side. You get? But now that you would assume that Gbajabiamila, who is the anointed one from the party, you know, and the president and everything should flow naturally. But for them to be saying this, I believe they have reason to. If not, they'll get the same treatment that every other what do they call it now, rogue part of the legislature has gotten.
Okay. Mr. Houston, how do you think this makes Nigeria look, you know, in the eyes of the international community? This is an international discourse. We're expecting money from an international company in the United Kingdom. You know, we're dealing with a federal government that is supposed to have integrity. You know, so another arm of the government is coming out to say that the federal government is actually lying because the UK know how much they're actually expecting to return back to Nigeria. So how do you think this makes Nigeria look in the eyes of the international community?
Firstly, I'd like to commend the federal government with the repatriation. Yes, I'd like to commend them first because having to remit this amount of money to Nigeria, first of all, I think is a feat that has been achieved by the federal government. And firstly, you cannot go without commending the federal government, and I'll tell you why. Now we're talking about debating the exact amount, whether it is 6.5 or 4.2 or whatever it is. Firstly, I think the agreement between, or the UK Metropolitan Police agreeing to send this money back to Nigeria was out of a collaboration from the federal government and the UK Metro and the UK. It wasn't the Nigerian legislature, of which of course is still part of the federal government. But then, let's talk about the money coming in first. Then,
I'm sorry.
Now we will get back to this.
I'm sorry for getting in here.
Okay.
Why do you think we should commend the federal government?
Yeah, like they're doing us a favor.
Yeah, I'll come to that now. I'll come to that. There's been before this whole issue, there's been this issue of the federal government wants to take the money. The federal government is saying they are the victim and not the state.
No, we're going to get to that topic.
We'll get to all of that at the end of the day. But why I'm saying we should commend the government, first of all, I think it was an effort from the federal government through the EFCC. The EFCC's collaboration with the UK Metropolitan Police to get this money back. Firstly,
does that justify them lying?
Now, I'm coming.
If they lied, allegedly, though. Yeah.
Now, listen. We do not necessarily know if they lied or not. The legislature, the House of Representatives, is saying it's supposed to be about $6 million, and the million pounds. Million pounds, and the federal government is saying it's 4 million. This is a huge amount of money that cannot be hidden. At the end of the day, we will get to know. We're dealing with the UK. The sum, the actual amount will come out. It will become obvious.
Yeah, but I'm saying, how does this make Nigeria look? That international image. This is an international.
How fantastically corrupt.
How does this make Nigeria look?
Look,
yeah.
Firstly, like I said, I have commended the government for reaching an agreement, for being able to cut a deal with these guys to bring this money back to Nigeria. That's one. Now, how does this make Nigeria look? It is obvious right now that we have already had this, corrupt image. This image is already there, that Nigeria is corrupt. It's not like we should.
It's not just image.
I'm coming. It's an image. It's an image that the country is corrupt.
No,
but
our index, our
listen,
corruption index, we are at our lowest point. It's not just the image. It's not just a perception thing.
Now, I'll land down. We are known. We are notably a corrupt nation. But it is not like we enjoy to wallow in this corruption. We are not enjoying it. We're doing everything we can. 1 minute. We're doing everything we can. We're doing everything.
Sorry,
we can.
who are we? Who are we?
Federal government is doing everything that it can. Clearly, I'll tell you. I'm coming.
Mr. Nwachukwu, are you
I'm coming.
serious, to be
No,
honest?
I'm being very serious. I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'll explain. If you let me land, I'll explain. Before now, we had, before this administration, we had how many cases? How many cases of corrupt loot, like being repatriated to Nigeria? How many? How many cases of this corrupt loot?
I don't know.
You know,
Abacha's
Abacha's
loot the numbers.
How many of them came into Nigeria?
I think about 2 tranches.
Abacha's loot has
Just 2
come.
tranches.
In this administration, how many? How many have we had in this administration? We've had about 3.
Yeah, but that's not the question. Though.
I'm coming.
We're
I'm
talking
coming.
about image.
No,
now,
I'm coming. No,
you
no,
know?
no. I'm trying to tell you that it's an image that, first of all, I don't know when Nigeria ever had a good image. Firstly,
But
I
are
don't
we,
know
are
when.
we supposed to keep damaging the image?
We are not supposed to keep
How can you
damaging
say
the
you
image.
don't know when? How can you say you don't know when?
When was the time Nigeria had a
Except
very good
if,
image?
except if your level of interest at that time was not so high. The starting of Okonjo-Iweala, Nasser El-Rufai, Nuhu Ribadu, Obi Ezekwesili, Chukwuma Soludo, who was like a very team member before he became CBN governor, and then the northern woman, I can't remember her name now. The Paris Club debt that was written off. How do you think Nigeria was able to achieve that? That was the best time. That was the best time to be alive as a Nigerian. That was the best time. And we know that did not even come without its own cost.
How did that administration, this group of people you call, like how did they end? Like how did their administration end?
Well, one is that the
These were appointees. These were appointees.
Yeah.
These were appointees.
Yeah.
Firstly, these were appointees. So how did they leave? Did they leave with good reputation or did they leave with bad reputation? I mean, Nuhu Ribadu got fired.
Well, you will have to tell us because
Nuhu Ribadu got fired. Which other person did you call?
Mr. Houston, you didn't answer this question anyway, so we're just going to move on because I asked you a very simple question. You seem to beat about the bush because you don't want to give a clear answer.
I'm not necessarily
There's an
beating
arm
about-
of government, the executive and the legislature. You know, they are disputing about these international funds that are
Actually,
about
they are
to
not
be
disputing. It is the legislature that is actually disputing.
The
federal government
dispute
haven't made a
comes from one
statement.
person. You know, but they didn't respond to the statement
They didn't
anyway.
respond. Then it's not a dispute. It's one person who said the money is actually more.
But you know what they say about silence, though.
And
It could be implied. Yeah.
and also you need to understand again why is do you necessarily think the legislature is calling the actual sum of money because because they have like good plans for the money when the money eventually gets repatriated to Nigeria.
But that's not the issue, though.
No, that's not the
Yeah,
issue.
that's not the issue. There are different issues here.
Okay.
Anyway, let me just move to the next, because there are different parts of this discussion that were very interesting. So there was also the part where the federal government is taking the money to themselves, and the Delta State government they're saying no, the money belongs to us since it was actually taken from our state by our governor and taken to this country. So when the money is coming back to the country, it should come back to our state. You know, so that's what Delta State government is saying. You know, but the federal government, I think the AGF, the Attorney General of the Federation, came out to say that no, this money is going to go to the federal government. And the reason he gave, I'm going to quote him here. He said because the federal government is the victim of the crime. I don't know what that means. How was the federal government the victim of this looting? You know, it wasn't looted from the federal government coffers. It was looted from the Delta State coffers, you know. But the federal government now has come to say, hey, we are the victim of this crime, so this money is coming to us, the money is not going to you. So they also raised another issue, the issue of the Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, which makes sense to me, you know. He said they had to make an agreement with the UK government that the condition for releasing these funds will be that these funds must be used to develop the country. You know, so they listed several projects that they signed in the MOU. So the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the Abuja-Kano Rail, and the second Niger Bridge. You know, so lots of money are going to this second Niger Bridge thing. But my argument here, you know, so I feel like if the federal government was sincere, you know, even if you're not using all the funds, you know, you're not giving all the funds to Delta State, you want to put them into federal projects. You know, are there no federal projects that could that could benefit the people of Delta State where this money was looted from, that you could have used either all of the money or some of the money for. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have any reaction.
You go first,
to
because this is my favorite topic, right? But then
Yes.
You can go ahead.
Okay, now, first of all, now I'll tell you. Now, this takes me back. I was actually prepared for this before the other question. Now, let's talk about this. First of all, I want to commend the government on this, on being able to agree on this point. No, not again. I can't commend them twice. It's the same commendation I'm giving to them. The one I gave to them the last time.
You're commending them for what? I need to be clear.
For being
on
able
that.
to reach an agreement to bring this money. And I'll tell you
Yeah,
why.
but that's the condition that the UK gave them. They didn't decide to reach. They gave them a condition.
Because the federal government moved, they pushed for the repatriation of this money, and not just this money, so many other looted funds. And I'm coming to this, I'll tell you now. First of all, when was Buhari's case ever trumped up? This case came up in 2007 under Ribadu, the former first EFCC
Yes,
chairman.
and he was
if I'm not mistaken.
convicted
First
under
of
that
all,
government.
he said something. He said, while James Buhari was about stepping down as governor, he said, James Buhari bribed me with $15 million. We're here fighting about how many pounds. That still don't even amount to the exact amount that is in central bank. James Buhari bribed this man with $15 million, which Nuhu Ribadu collected and deposited at the central bank. It's still in the central bank. Now, if tomorrow the federal government says we're going to take this $15 million that Nuhu Ribadu deposited at the central bank to do infrastructural stuff, Delta State, will they come outside and say it is our money? Wait, I'm coming. Now, the state, what has the state gone, like what have they gone, how far have they gone to be able to procure this, to be able to get back this money, to be able to get this money? I'm coming. Why do you think they couldn't?
It is the sovereign state that will engage other sovereign states to ask for that money.
Now I'll explain
on behalf of the people.
Now I'll explain to you. Now that is what you think. When Nuhu Ribadu trumped up the first case against James Buhari, do you know what the state did?
What did they do?
The court, the sitting, the whole court's proceeding was actually in Asaba, in the High Court, Federal High Court in Asaba. Do you know that they discharged and acquitted James Buhari of 170 count charges on corruption in the state? Secondly, the state government came out and said James Buhari doesn't have any case with us. No amount of money was stolen from the coffers of this state. And this is the same loot we're talking about. In 2012, they brought back another, so in 2010, the EFCC came up with another case again. This was this was just a few months before Lamoni came in, before Ribadu left office. They came in and said, look, James Buhari has stolen over $216 million. The central bank governor, who was Salisu at the time, came out and said, James Buhari, in his words, he said James Buhari actually used Delta State as collateral to take a loan. I'm coming. If you let me land, he used the state as collateral to take a loan of $216 million unaccounted for. He let people know how corrupt this governor has always been. What did the state do? Do you know James Buhari was convicted in December of in May, June, between thereabout 2012. That was when he was convicted. Do you know that between 2012 and 2016 December when he was released, do you know that I actually was opportunity to visit his village? There's no year they don't throw his birthday. They throw birthday parties for him. When he came back, what did they gave him a ceremonial welcome. This is somebody who has taken this money, who has taken this loot to the UK severally. Even as I speak to you, the present governor of Delta State happens to be one of his boys.
So as the Minister of Transportation.
Now I'm coming.
Wait.
Now wait, with all of these things, with the state coming out to refute the claim that there is no amount of money missing over and over, what do you now expect?
Oh, so you're
How do
saying
you expect-
the federal government right now, the federal government is punishing Delta State.
No.
That's what you sound like.
No, the federal government is not.
No, but you sound like they deserve wherever they are getting.
No, they do
right?
not deserve it because talking about Delta State is one of the Delta State is the first state in my life I visited and I saw women carrying headband. So the state reeks of so much poverty. Right now it has one of the highest index of.
Yeah, but you are justifying the federal government taking the money away from
No,
Delta
I'm not
State.
justifying it. I will land if you let me land. The federal government, at the end of the day, if you ask me, if it is justifiable for the government, for the federal government to lay claims to the money based on the MOU that they signed on why they should, on the reasons how they should or why they should release the money to Nigeria, if you tell me it is justifiable for the federal government to lay claims, total claim to the money,
I will say no. It is wrong, actually.
Okay.
But first of all, I would like to think that the federal government should be able to reach an agreement with the state government on certain percentage, not remitting everything 100% to Delta State
that's what I said
and not
before.
taking 100%. That would not make any sense.
Okay, so sir.
Yes.
Sorry, if
Let's
I
hear
can
what
just
Charlie-
jump in here.
yeah.
The only thing that Buhari, Malami, and Co should get is their legal fees. The United Kingdom was the one that prosecuted Ibori, that took Ibori to court.
Yes.
Yeah, convicted Ibori and informed the place where Ibori came out from that, oh, we caught one of your guys here and he has to source some money. Nigeria did not prosecute Ibori in the UK at all. At all. At all. Nigeria did not do anything. Do you understand? Now, the only reason why Nigeria is even in this conversation is that the UK government cannot discuss such matters with Delta State. Delta State is part of a federating unit. Nigeria is a sovereign entity. That's the only reason why the UK government cannot discuss this with what do they call it? The Delta State government.
Yeah.
Now, under what law does it make sense? Under what law does it make sense that I will steal your money? Sal will collect the money from me, that I've stolen from you, and then Sal will now hold the money.
I think that's a false equivalent. If you ask
Why?
me.
Why do you think so?
It's a false equivalence because
Please, let me
Sam
understand.
collecting the money on my behalf. What is Sam's position in our whole relation? Like, what is
Okay, here's the law. I am the thief. You are the victim.
okay?
Yeah? In Nigeria, he is the law. I am the thief. You are the victim. I've stolen money from you. You are Delta State government. I'm the governor who has stolen the money, and he is the law. How is he supposed to keep the money when your stuff gets stolen and you go to the police station? Does the police hold the money?
Do Delta State have a legislative arm?
Yes.
They have an executive arm. Okay, and they never pushed. They never pushed for recovery of.
No, but he's saying
of their loot.
they cannot approach
No, I'm
another
coming.
sovereign
If-
state now. The
if-
federal government is supposed to receive this
if-
money on behalf of Delta State. That's what's supposed to have been done
If your
in the
father,
matter.
if your
Yeah.
father, because of the system of government we practice, if your father,
Buhari is not
One
the
minute.
father of
I'm not.
Delta
I
State.
never called.
Buhari
I never
is not
called.
the father of any
I
state
never
in
called.
Nigeria.
I never called
Don't use
Buhari.
father.
We're talking about.
Don't use
See,
father.
we're talking
Don't
about.
use father. Don't use father.
Brother,
Please.
we're talking about the EFCC.
Please.
The
Don't use
EFCC.
father. That
Federal-
relationship is completely blood related.
Okay.
We are discussing the law.
Okay.
There's no father inside. There's
Okay.
no father.
So the federal government and the state government, who represent a father and who represent a child?
There's no father. There's no child.
There's no father. There's no
The
child.
federal government exists at the what's
what?
the word?
At the what?
Benevolence of the state government.
Are you serious?
That is what the law actually is.
That's what the law
Yes,
actually
that's
is.
what the law actually is.
Also, it's a state law. It's not a federal law.
No.
It's a federal constitution or a state constitution. What do we abide by in this
Federal
country?
constitution.
Thank you.
The reason
So even
why-
the states are bounded by the federal constitution.
You're missing it. You're missing it. It is the states that actually put the federal government there. It is the states that give the legitimacy to the federal government. It is saying, look, on behalf of all of us, sit in this position.
Anyway,
that is
to end this
that would be a true
hello
fraternity. That's
guys,
not what we practice in Nigeria, brother. You know that.
guys.
That's not what we practice in Nigeria.
Anyway, to end this discussion, I'm going to ask you guys, Henry Oqua, who do you think deserves this money? Should it be given to the federal government or to Delta State? Simple answer. Straightforward. Delta State, federal government.
Delta State should pay the federal government its legal fees and then go ahead and use the money to fund its budget.
All right, Mr. Houston. No debate. Delta State, federal government. Who should receive
I
the
think the
goods?
state and the government should reach an agreement on special cuts because if you give everything to Delta State, their money might still go down to Ibori. And I have my reasons why I'm saying that.
All right.
Might still go back to Ibori.
Oh. But what if they have? What if the federal government and the Delta State have
Or could
a
be
MOU?
could be
A
mismanaged.
MOU. They have memorandum of understanding
If Delta
as
State-
to how the money should be used. Then there's a body set up to supervise
Perfect. Then
and
everything will go
see.
to Delta State in that case.
Yeah, because there are always ways out, you know.
Yeah,
we
there are
just
always
don't
ways
do
out.
this thing. You get an independent body that
Thank
you
you.
know
There
will
are always
see
ways
through
out.
these projects. You give a timeline for the projects as well in terms of the construction companies or
Yeah, when the
whatever
loot was
body.
when the
I
loot
feel
from
there are different ways
Plateau
out.
State,
but
Joshua Larry was brought back to Nigeria. It was given back to
yeah.
Plateau State.
I like what you're saying.
Yeah.
That kind of system will exist in an environment where there's trust.
But like where
cannot
you came
use-
from,
you
though,
cannot
at
use
the end of
law.
the day, they're still Ibori is still eating the people. They're
He
still
was
chopping more
bro,
money.
Ibori
He
came back,
stole
they
the
brought
money.
banquet for this man. I have gone to Ibori's village severally to sleep. My friend school there.
Why? The reason why.
Do you know women carry headband in this place, but they are still saying we love Ibori. Ibori was in jail. They were celebrating his birthday.
Moving on to our next topic here. So another disturbing topic that happened this week was the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige. He said that President Buhari has executed more developmental projects all across Nigeria than any of his predecessors. So Chris Ngige is telling us that President Muhammadu Buhari, our integrity president, has performed better. He has put development in every state of Nigeria than Obasanjo, than Yaradua, than Goodluck Jonathan, than Abacha. Yeah, than everybody. I don't know. Is this true or false? Mr. Houston, what do you think?
Firstly, I think I'll say infrastructure has to do it. Infrastructure has to do it. Good roads, health facilities, developmental projects, and development projects. And clearly, I wouldn't be able to say much on that because I haven't been able to travel since the president got into office. I haven't been able to travel by road since the president got into office, and that's because of
But you listen to the news though?
I listen to the news.
You read the papers?
I read the papers, and that's due to insecurity. And somehow the news, what the media reports, is not as, for me,
it's not accurate.
No, I wouldn't say it's not accurate. It could be accurate, but I wouldn't want to hold on to that until I see, because there were times that I traveled by road.
But you live in Abuja, though.
You
live in Abuja.
Yeah, I live in Abuja.
So what has changed in your opinion? From what you have seen right now, you have been here, at least, let's judge based on where you live.
Okay,
what have you seen in terms of developmental infrastructure since the Buhari government came to power? What have you seen? What projects can you name that they have done? Yeah. No, Mr. Houston, we have to be very honest with these conversations, and not just
basically I'll say I've seen just not so different from the last administration. I've seen
name something.
I've seen where's Life Camp Roundabout?
Life Camp Roundabout, that's Skybank, this thing. It used to be very
it's not a roundabout, actually, it's a junction. So Life Camp Junction.
So they did that one.
The road, is actually.
They initiated it.
Yeah,
they didn't initiate.
They initiated it.
No, they didn't initiate.
Or they just paid the contractors to finish the project.
Please, calm down.
They paid the contract.
I think I'll say it was worse in the last administration. There was a filling station there. You know the filling station. How it got burnt and nothing happened for a very long period. There was no, there was no renovation. Nothing happened there, even though it's a private filling station. But the roundabout now has limited traffic, and the new Karimu market is being built directly behind my house. It's going to decongest Karimu a little bit. So basically, that's as much as
infrastructural project.
In
Abuja.
Yeah, this is infrastructural.
So, do you think Abuja needs more infrastructural projects?
Clearly, I think Abuja needs more infrastructural projects because there's so much happening in Abuja right now. I see lots of demolition and I see less development. More demolition, less development. I see them scattering places, but I'm not seeing.
So, based on what you have seen in your area, how do you think President Buhari's government has brought more developmental projects, infrastructural projects to Abuja? Let's use Abuja than any other previous government.
The traffic in Abuja is actually
developmental projects.
I'll tell you now. I know I'm coming to. You're talking about developmental projects. I haven't been able to move around Abuja because of the traffic.
You sound like you're Buhari's friend right now.
I'm not Buhari's friend, but I will not knock down the man because I do not.
We're not knocking down the man. We're being very objective here. There was a statement made. We're trying to find out whether this statement was true or false, or are they just playing politics by making these statements? Because this is a very, very deep statement. You said that any other government, than all of his predecessors.
And the president didn't make that statement. It was actually one of his aides.
Yeah, but that's one of his aides, though.
He's a member of the FEC.
Okay.
So he's being paid to say that.
He's the president.
Wow.
He's not the president. Since Joe Biden entered office, he's been talking to people. How many times have you heard the president speak?
Henry
So
Oqua.
these people are being paid to say things on behalf of the president.
Henry Oqua, you can react to this. What do you think about Chris Ngige's daring statement? I call that very daring.
It is false.
Yeah.
And you know that most of us who are in this information space, we rate Wikipedia very poorly. Yeah. Based on Wikipedia alone, 10 power projects were completed under Jonathan's administration, as compared to 2 under Buhari's administration.
Okay.
2. And these two were not conceived and completed by the Buhari administration. But they were conceived in Jonathan's administration. One of them was conceived in Jonathan's administration, and the other one was completed. Now, even the I think it's Mazura power project that they are trying to claim that they have completed. Is not the federal, like the way these power projects are funded. Is that the World Bank comes and says you need this development. This development that you need to do will cost you so amount. Let's find somebody who can actually undertake this development, who can actually build these things. And then we will give you what is called counterpart funding. We will give you a loan that you will give to this guy, and you will use your entity, like you being in Nigeria now, you will be the one to guarantee that loan. That meaning that your balance sheet will never be too short for us to draw from when we need to service the loan. Do you understand? So we'll give you this loan over a long period of time. While you are settling in small, you can also do other things. Do you understand? So the World Bank basically provided the money for that. Do you understand? Now, that aside, my work involves me visiting PHCs, primary healthcare facilities, which is part of development. You understand? It means I go to facilities across the 6 area councils in Abuja. I have not seen one new PHC. I have not seen one new school.
Have you seen rehabilitation
I
of
have
any
not
of the
seen.
ones?
There's a bridge. We went to which place was it? I think it was in Abaji. Was it Abaji area council or something? So I have pictures of how I had to descend from the bridge on a pole. A power pole that they placed, that the locals placed at
in
the top
Abuja
of the
here?
Here in Abuja. The locals placed it at the... Now imagine a woman who needs to get to, and I was going to the primary healthcare center. Imagine a woman who needs to get to the primary healthcare center when she's in labor. What will happen? She and the child, what will happen? Who will carry them up across that place?
So Henry, what are you saying in essence?
It is false. It is blatantly false.
So are you saying you need more primary?
And what is even worse? No, it's not. What is even worse, Pastor, is that we have borrowed, like, all the debts that Nigeria has covered has borrowed all the while until Buhari came in. But Buhari has multiplied it by 158%.
Okay, that's a discussion for another day.
158%.
Do you need more primary health centers, or you need accessibility to the present ones?
You need to be able to access them.
Have you entered the primary healthcare center?
What?
Wow.
You will not go there by
They
yourself.
don't need access.
You will not go there by yourself.
Nobody needs to
do
do
that
that.
to like.
They need to be
They
demolished.
don't have what they need, equipment-wise. They don't have the staff that they need. The staff are not even trained and retrained. And you know the funny thing? In FCT, it is even a bit more organized than what you have at the state level. At the state level, they are forgotten because they are under local government authorities. They are forgotten completely. So it's when the governor feels like, let us say, hey, take this 200 million, go and do what you want to do in your local government, and then that one will come, pinch 10 naira or something and give to a PHC.
Wow.
And
Anyway, let's trash that. So we just assume Dr. Chris Ngige was doing his job. So another thing that happened this week, the governor of Gombe State, Muhammadu Yahaya, he called on the governors of the southern states as well as all southerners to be patient with the Fulani herdsmen, despite the kidnappings, the raping, and the killings and other criminal activities allegedly perpetrated by them against the southerners. So my question here is, should the southerners be patient with the Fulani herdsmen, notwithstanding all the atrocities, and what makes the Fulani herdsmen so special that the southerners have to be patient with them even after committing all these heinous crimes? Mr. You want Henry to go? You don't want to touch this one?
I'll definitely touch.
Like what makes the full, like how would there be so much killing, so much raping? They keep complaining about all these things that the Fulani herdsmen are allegedly perpetrating. Then you come out to make a statement such as, please be patient with them. Kid gloves, please. Like Henry, make this make sense. Like, doesn't make sense to me though.
I think you may be onto something here. My main grouse is with the tone and what he thinks is possible under the present circumstances. Do you understand? Now, what I think he's onto is that the bloodshed, the hate, the anger, we've had enough. to be honest. It is, people are hungry, do you understand? And it's such a desperate situation when you can't find food to eat. There's no guarantee that you're going out of your house and you're coming back alive. That is the reality of people in these regions. Do you understand? One night they are asleep, the next morning villages are burnt down. That's the reality of this.
So what does patience mean here? Like when you say be patient, what does that mean in reality? What do you think he's saying?
I saw a movie, I can't remember the title recently, and then the question on the good guy's mouth from the beginning was, why does the victim have to be the bigger person? That's what I'm not happy with Mr. What's his name now? Yahya Muhammad.
Yeah, Muhammadu Yahya, governor. Yeah.
If you're going to come from that point, you have to admit that injustice has been done. You understand? In his song Diallo Diallo, Wyclef Jean said, we don't want no peace, we want equal rights and justice. You understand?
Yeah.
Before you can ask me to be the bigger person, before you can tell me to turn my cheek, have you identified that I have been wronged? Do you understand? Now, we all know very well that when it comes to all this cultural and religious crisis, there's a particular part that seems to be more relaxed than the other part. There's one part that seems to flare up at the tiniest provocation. There's the other part that looks as if, oh no, they can still.
In this case, who do you put?
No, I'm not.
You don't.
I'm not stating any of this.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not stating any of this. Now, if this Gombe state governor is actually, like, I think what his handlers were trying to make him do was for him to look like the voice of reason. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But you cannot confidently be the voice of reason if you do not acknowledge the damage done to these people, to their livelihood, to them as people, the ones that have been maimed, the ones that even managed to survive. You cannot ask for patience without identifying that.
Another question I asked, what's so special about Fulani heads, man? We all see how when there's anything against the Fulani headsmen, be it Sheikh, be it bandits, you have Sheikh Gumi going to meet them in the bush, going to appeal to them, oh, do it like this, but if it's somebody else, they pick you up quickly already, they lock you up. So like, what do you think is special? Why the special treatment?
What also will shock you? About almost a year ago now, the Mieti Allah chairman said Buhari has not benefited the Fulani either.
Benefited from them?
No.
Benefited
the
them?
Fulani,
no, they have not benefited from the Buhari government.
Exactly.
Okay.
He said instead, Buhari has placed them in a worse situation, that they are now seen as public enemy number one wherever they go.
How is that Buhari's fault?
It is Buhari's fault because when things happen and the leader who promised to lead from the front cannot speak.
But he said he was the president of everybody and nobody.
No, sir.
Yeah,
you have to realize that there was a Buhari that the Southwest media sold to us, and the Buhari that existed before the APC with CPC.
Yeah.
Buhari is Buhari and he will not change.
The polished one that Tinubu gave us.
Odumaki gave us a story during the election about how he would go to Buhari's house in London, and from morning till like 12, the only thing that Buhari and his guys did was to drink tea and read newspapers and laugh. Odumaki will go with computer, with book and waiting, we are working, we are preparing to take over government. All Buhari wanted to do was sit down, drink tea and read newspaper. I have a very strong feeling that that's the same thing that's going on up till now. Because you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can't. Now, Buhari has always been a hands-off leader. Hey, you know what you're doing, go and do it. Kaomo report. Sorry, bring me report for those who don't understand Hausa. Bring me report, that's all. And Buhari will swallow your report, hook, line, and sinker. And to a large extent, it's because he doesn't even know better. So if you only have a senior secondary school certificate, if I bring you economic analysis, you will not understand it. You will say, hey, go ahead, go and do it. That's what you would say to me. Do you understand? Now, with respect to leadership, Buhari has not led any part of this country. He has only led himself and his kitchen cabinet.
Allegedly.
Those are the only people who seem to have benefited. Now, what has happened is that the Fulani man has become public enemy number one. You understand? Wherever he goes in the south, once he leaves, in fact, even in the north, nobody wants to see him in Benue State. Nobody wants to see him in Taraba State. Where do you want him to go?
Okay.
The infrastructure needed for what do they call it? The ranches and all of that. You don't have the will to push them through. You don't even need to set up these things by yourself. Public-private partnership can do that for you. Have you created the environment for Oqua or whatever to feel safe in the northern part of the country, building ranches? Have you done that? You haven't.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, it's not as if the Fulani man is special, sir.
Yeah.
This is where I was getting to.
Yeah.
The rest of the country appears to have cowered behind what Buhari represents. There's nobody standing up for the Sunday Igbo, whatever guy in the south, in the southwest.
Yeah.
There's nobody standing up to defend Nnamdi Kanu's pronouncement. But when Mieti Allah says something, one governor or the other will stand up and say something.
Yes, there's no prominent figure because
Do you
I know
understand?
Nnamdi Kanu
The
has
shake-
supporters.
The shake is there. It's not as if they're saying, oh, we endorse what these people are saying. So when these kind of people speak, the best that you can do with the politics of perception and everything, the best that you can do is to make another person who looks more respectable speak immediately after that person. Check it out. When the ACF, the youth group of the Arawa Congress, whatever, says something, check out. A senior governor will come out and say something that supports that thing. The reason is that you do not stand up and say, no, what you have said is wrong and we are going to fight. That's how this politics works. But immediately someone from the south says something,
You're a
everybody
terrorist.
backs up.
No, you're
Just
actually a
that.
terrorist.
Why can't up till today look at the number of the scores of people that have been killed by supposed headers, bandits and whatnot? Why can't we proscribe this group? Why can't we proscribe IPOB? Has IPOB killed anybody in Abuja?
Yeah.
What are we saying?
Anyway, let's move on. So I will stay on this topic though. So you raised another argument which I'm going to pose to you.
This topic.
Do you want to contribute to this?
Of course, I wanted to. I just wanted to
Okay.
go first.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Let's
So, what's the
hear
question?
your reaction. What's special about the Fulani headsmen? Why should the Southerners be patient with the Fulani headers despite all the criminal atrocities they allegedly commit in the area?
Firstly, I don't know why he says. I don't know why he used the word. I don't know why he used the governor Yahya Mohammed.
Muhammadu Yahya.
That's the governor of Gombe
Yes,
State. I don't know
Gombe
why he used
State.
the word patience. There are things we can be patient with, but not insecurity and hunger. These are two things we can't be patient with.
Okay.
Clearly, these are two things we can't be patient with. You have scores of people. Yesterday, there was a total index of people that died in 2020 in Kaduna State. He said over 921 people were murdered in Kaduna State in 2020. And over 1,000 and something people.
Yes, I saw those
went
figures.
missing.
Yeah.
So these figures,
Crazy.
they're being thrown up. You can't ask people to be patient. That's one. Secondly, according to Isaac Newton's flaming laser sword theory, it says any argument that cannot be settled by experiment is not worth debating at all. Now, this brings us to the Fulani tagging thing. Why people say the Fulani people come out and say it is not all the Fulani that are this. It's
Yeah,
not all
I was
the
going to
headsmen.
pose that question
Yeah.
to you now.
So
yeah.
the thing is, the Fulani people, I'm sorry, they shouldn't really feel very bad. First of all, they should understand that everybody, each and every one of us, are an ambassador of our ethnic group, whether you like it or not. If you say something, because Nigeria is a cosmopolitan state, so whatever you do, people will definitely not attribute whatever you do to yourself. They will say that Igbo man, that Yoruba man. So another experiment I drew up with a civil society organization one time during the 2019 elections is the soup experiment. You do not have to finish licking a whole pot of soup before you could tell if it has Maggi or it has salt in it. Do you understand? So by one spoon, you're able to know if this thing actually is properly salinated. Now, if one Fulani man actually goes out there and murders people, another one does the same thing in another state, I think it is enough to say the perpetrators of this crime are actually Fulani people. These crimes are actually Fulani people. So the Fulani people shouldn't feel like we are actually witch hunting them. When the IPOB people did this thing, IPOB was practically situated in the southeast. The only period they moved a little bit away from the southeast, it was into south, and that was River State. And these people weren't committing murders, but it did take them 24 hours or 48 hours to prescribe. So we're saying these bandits or headsmen who have been killing started from far north down south. Now they're even infiltrating the outskirts of Lagos. They're murdering people.
Wow.
Never in my life have I ever heard that Nigerians have been, refugees anywhere.
Wow.
But this is the first time I'm hearing people are calling civil society organizations are asking the president Shukan to retrieve Nigerian
refugees from Benin Republic. Nigerians are running to Benin Republic for asylum. People can't stay in their houses anymore
For
because
safety.
of Fulani headsmen. Some people, in the name of diplomacy, try to even call it headsmen and remove the Fulani tag from it.
Yeah, they're always
There's no
put the
other-
Fulani
there's
headsmen
there's
when
no other
I'm
nomadic
doing my
tribe we have in
stuff.
Nigeria.
Yeah.
It is not a bad thing to be nomadic, but then these are the only nomadic people we know. They're the only pastoralists we have in Nigeria. So they are the headsmen. If the group Metiala isn't doing anything about it as a body, because I never heard of Metiala until the president came into office. So that must.
I did though, because
Okay,
under the Jonathan administration, they were a pressure group.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I never heard of them.
But now they're prominent.
Thanks for reminding me, Paul. Thanks for bringing that up.
And they're
Right.
into factions as well. Yeah.
Exactly. So now that they're up as an administration, they're also trying to let us know that they have a uniting body, which is the Métis Allah. If the Métis Allah cannot hold their people who are supposed to be pastoralists, who cannot hold them from murdering innocent people or infiltrating people's farms and spoiling whatever it is, then I think the governor it will be a faux pas. It will be a very wrong language. Patience will be a very wrong language. You don't tell people to be patient with insecurity.
With crime.
So I think it is wrong on this part to tell anybody to be patient.
Anyway, so he raised another argument, saying that not all criminal activities are carried out by the Fulani headers in the southern part of the country, and he also called and said that where they are law-abiding in the south, that they should be allowed to coexist in peace. So I'm saying, should they be allowed to coexist in the south where they are seen to be peaceful? Because I don't believe in all states where the Fulani headsmen are, that's where they're actually perpetrating crimes. I don't know, I may be wrong. I don't know whether there's actually Fulani headers, farmers crisis in all the 36 states of Nigeria. I still don't know whether they head in all the states in Nigeria. Could it be that maybe, for example, in Oqua Ibom state, I'm just giving an example, if they have Fulani headers there that carry their cattle, but the people of Oqua Ibom state have never experienced any clash, with these Fulani headers. Yeah. So he's saying in that situation, they should be allowed to live there in peace. Do you agree with that? Or do you think, due to the records they already have in some states, we should not wait for them to start committing these crimes in the other states where they are presently peacefully coexisting? Do we allow the crimes to start first before we send them away, or do we just send them away totally back to where they come from? Which is very ridiculous to me anyway, because these guys actually contribute to the economy in terms of rearing cattle, giving us beef and all those stuff. And there's the talk about the ranching. They're saying, oh, they should create ranching for them, or they should go back to the north and ranch. How many ranches have been built? Because you can't just tell them to just go and start ranching when there's no ranch. Because when you're trying to start something new and stop something old, it's always a gradual process. So we can start building the ranches, in my opinion. Why they can, I don't know, this is very confusing. Wait, why they can still be rearing their cattle, but does that mean allowing them to still commit the crimes? Still, what do you think is the solution? I beg, yeah, because
firstly, it is only typical that whenever there is chaos in any place, even when there's bound to be hijackers. When there's chaos, now chaos could be either criminal chaos or protest chaos. Whenever there's chaos stemming up from any rowdy organization, there's bound to be hijackers. There's bound to be people who hijack it from the actual purpose. So, we've seen even during the NSAS protest, there were people who actually meant good, who meant to protest the SARS, the end of the SARS.
Yes, and those that wanted to steal.
Who actually hijacked the whole stuff. And
also the Black Lives Matter as well.
Also the Black Lives Matter in the US. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Now, we've seen this thing. So clearly, whoever says it is not all Fulani headsmen that are belligerent or criminal-minded,
Yeah.
I think it is also right, but then you cannot, it is inextricable to say right now with the 10 stop situation in the south and all over the country, it is almost impossible to say, to dissociate criminal activities in the forests from the herders' crisis. It is almost difficult,
impossible.
Almost impossible.
Yeah,
so,
but it doesn't mean
that
some other non-Fulani people are not committing
some other
these
Fulani
crimes.
people are not innocent, right? Some other headers are not
Both,
innocent.
I
Same
think,
thing,
were Boko Haram, yeah.
So yeah, definitely they are the innocent ones. And the thing now is letting the innocent ones abide in your community, like he's saying. They have a body, first of all. They have a body. If their body cannot call them to order, but their body is always quick to have a media conference or press release on what they should do, but you cannot reach your people, I think there's something that's not being done. That's one. Secondly, talking about ranching. This ranching case has been, for the last 2 to 3 years now, been ranching this, ranching that.
And we have not seen one
The
ranch.
government is not even supposed to be the one responsible for getting these people ranches. The Fulani people are not the only people who actually travel from place to place. We have Igbo businessmen who move down to the north. These people go there and they procure their shops by themselves. They don't ask the government to give us shops. The Yoruba people come to Port Harcourt, they come to the Niger Delta and start their businesses. They don't ask the government to give us, to give them facility or equipment to carry out their trade. So if the Fulani people, if their business is pastoral business, if it is ranching, if it is nomadic business, moving around with your cow and all that, I think they should be able to procure that ranch by themselves. I don't think any state government will object if they say we want to buy this land for ourselves. I don't think there's any state government.
Do you think they have
that
the
will
money? Do you think they have the money to do it?
When an Igbo man moves from the south side to the
Or
north,
should we even care whether they have the
that's
money
my
to
point.
do it?
When an Igbo man moves from the south to the north, to Kano, Sabongere for instance, and says he wants to establish a business there, nobody asks if he has capital to start up his business. Nobody asks that. He goes in there, he further develops where he's situated in. Do you understand? He further develops where he's situated. He builds his shop and starts.
Right.
So
Right.
when
I'd like to come in here for a bit because I realize that this is a very personal issue for us
Yes.
as a country, as a people, and even as a few of us who are sitting down here. Now, I think to a large extent what Nigeria needs is a leader who understands that certain wounds must be healed. Do you understand? A leader that can actually have the will and probably the understanding to see a problem and break it down into different factors that have brought it to be. They say no, we know that not all men are rapists. I've never raped. And I would like to believe that you've never raped. I would like to believe that you've never raped. But in the social space, the conversation is that men, people of our gender, are responsible for raping. Does that absolve us completely of responsibility? It doesn't. Do you understand? It is our job to tell other men, don't rape women. Keep your pibicostis in your panties.
Oh,
You understand? Wow. Don't do that. You understand? Now, for me, what this means is, imagine Fela seeing somebody in military uniform. That is the source of his pain. That is the source of his tears. When he sees that, he should remember his mother's death. Yeah? Now, imagine a child, a young person who has grown up in an environment where these people have carried out these atrocities. What do you think he sees when he sees a header? We know where we started with Boko Haram. Yeah? We know that suicide bombing started about a year to the end of Jonathan's administration. Have you thought of why that happened? Have you thought of the psychological effect of living under a terrorist group's administration for a period of time? Have we thought of what it means for people who cannot go to their farms? Before we start to talk about whether we should leave people in certain places and whatnot, I grew up in the north. And I have Fulani friends. In fact, the funny thing is that my best friend is Fulani. Do you understand? And I'm happy that between both of us, we can have these conversations. But before you can take any decision, where we are now, I believe that it's better to leave it and let everything down, but let everything spoil. Than for you to say, no, let's leave some people here and do anything that you want to do with respect to the farmer headers crisis must start with justice and reparation.
And justice for
If it
you.
does not
Justice
start
for you,
there-
Henry Oqua, means what? What's justice? When we say justice, we're saying justice. Realistically, what's justice for you in this scenario?
I want to see the government prosecute perpetrators of these mayhem in every state. I want to see the government say categorically that we do not support this type of activity, irrespective
Which government?
of what.
Which government? Federal government, or the state government, or the federal government?
So
We have to be very
If
specific.
we're going to be realistic, the state governments can't do much.
Yeah, you see, you
Because
want to see
if a
the
state
government condemn the. So
Not
I'm
just
asking which of the
condemn,
government?
prosecute
Yeah.
federal government.
Okay.
Federal government.
Yeah, I
Because
need that- I
when
need
you
that to be
kill,
very
when you
clear.
kill, when you kill,
It's a state offense, though.
Exactly, you understand. So the state should prosecute. The federal government should actually. And I really wish that.
So I want to counter you here. Yeah, you're saying you need the federal government to step in. But we have said that when a crime is committed, the state is supposed to prosecute. So why are we waiting for the federal government to come and prosecute in the states? Why are these state governments, the governors, why are they not prosecuting these criminals in their states? These Fulani headsmen in their states.
This is the reason why. This is the reason why. And
Should
I
there be a
really-
reason why?
Hold on.
Wow.
Yes, there is, because you see, every issue with respect to Nigeria is nuanced. Do you understand? There are strings pulling from different areas. Imagine what it would be if the Benue State Governor, for example, Agatu killings and all of those killings, said he wants to prosecute people. First of all, the Benue State Governor is not in charge of the police. So the people who arrested the perpetrators of the crime is the federal government, because they are in charge of the police. Do you understand? But imagine what life would be like for Benue people in say Sokoto, in Kebbi. Imagine what life would be like for them the day that the Benue State government announces that it has captured arrested so people, prosecuted them, and find what is the penalty for killing another person? Death. Do you understand? Imagine the day that the Benue State government comes out and says we are going to hang so person for doing so thing. The North will burn. Everybody's life will be in danger. It's the reason why the center. That's what I was trying to explain earlier with the whole Ibori thing. There are things
Coming up about the Ibori thing.
Exactly.
Because let's get heated.
Yeah.
Okay. But
So what you guys are saying right now, what are you saying in essence? Because the question here that I asked, I'm like, okay, should the peaceful ones, should they be allowed to remain in the south where they are not causing trouble, they are not killing, they are not raping, they are rearing their cows in peace?
I don't think we've got into that.
Since they have a body, for me, I think they will have to take an undertaking. They will have to sign an undertaking. It will make more
But you
sense.
see what happened in
Because
Ogun
if
State,
they sign-
where simply the governor said, come and register. He didn't chase them away,
Yes.
as the media reported.
That makes a lot of sense,
He
if you ask
said,
me.
he gave notice for them to evacuate the forest, come and register properly. Let's know you guys.
That's
so
my
in case
point.
of anything, we can come. But they did not still obey. That's what I'm still saying. They
Now,
didn't
if they
obey.
refuse, now that's an executive order from the state. That's
And
a
some
state
of them
executive order.
remained
And
in
if
the
they refuse
forest.
to sign, if they refuse to sign, then they will have to leave.
They didn't leave, though. They're still in Ogun State.
Then there are enemies, and anytime you see them, you consider them terrorists.
Yeah, but like Henry
That's
said,
also
anyway,
one-
the state government's hands are tied
Fine.
because
Then-
of the repercussions
Definitely
from
true.
the top.
Then also another solution is, I think it's due time for the federal government to actually prescribe the killer headsmen, even if you have to give them a name.
But they are not prescribing, that's why we're here talking.
That's what you asked for a solution. So I said
Yeah.
it's time. That's also part of the solution. At least now, if you see any IPOB person flying the Biafran flag here in Abuja, what do? You call the police because they've been prescribed. So I'm saying they should do the same thing with the killer headsmen. If you find the killer, if the federal government are able to prescribe today killer headsmen, people will be on the lookout. Once you cite them, just citing them, you've seen the enemy.
Another issue, this just came to my head, this is not in my notes anyway. So if we prescribe these people, and these are the people that give us beef, they give us.
Okay.
Wait, because we saw what happened this couple of weeks when the North decided and said that they are no longer giving food to the southern part. You saw the prices of foodstuff go up.
Brother,
No,
this
Henry,
is-
like
this
these
is
are
what-
real
this is what-
discussions,
see,
though.
this is-
And
this
this
is-
has hit people in their pocket.
This is
Yeah.
actually one of the issues we have. Netherlands, for instance, a country like Netherlands, pig milk actually comes from the Netherlands.
Okay.
I don't think, from all the movies we've seen, all the European movies, I don't think we've ever seen where people move cows from Amsterdam to Rotterdam because they want to process pig milk. My brother, we still import pig milk in this country.
So you're saying we'll have beef in the south, whichever way.
No, listen.
Yep.
I'm saying if the North is willing to package milk, to start processing milk when they are. Because if you ask me right now, from the cows that they move around, all we get from it is actually meat. So you think meat is the only thing you can actually use?
A bone for our dogs.
And what bone for our dogs? Thank you. So you think meat is the only thing you can actually use to make us feel bad or to torture us and all that? My brother said you can actually make your money without even moving that far. Ranch your stuff.
Corned beef is not even down here. Wow.
Ranch your cows wherever you are. Process your stuff.
Really funny.
Package it. Send it to us. We will buy.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Moving the cows around actually costs more than ranching.
It costs more than ranching.
The losses on the cows that are moved across, but is higher than the losses that they can.
Where did we even learn this culture from anyway?
Well, yeah. Funny enough.
Yeah.
It is not the. It's not just peculiar to the Fulani. The Bantu people are pastoralists as well in South Africa.
Okay.
They move cows from as far as South Africa. Before now, they moved cows from as far as South Africa down to Cameroon to Central Africa.
So there's something about that.
So it's a thing.
Yeah.
No, it's their system. It's their way of life before time. It's their prehistorical way of life. Pastoralists, they just move cows.
Maybe the way of keeping them busy as well.
But right now in South Africa, the Bantu people now have ranches. They do not move cows like they used to move it before. So I think we are also at that point.
Where we can step forward and do something
we got
modern.
independence before South Africa. We should have gotten to that point where our cows can be ranched
Okay.
if they are willing to.
Anyway, let's move to this another very ridiculous one. So a former governor of Jigawa State and the chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, Sule Lamido, he stated that Nigeria is more divided under the President Muhammadu Buhari APC federal government than it was under the 16-year rule of the PDP. So let me read these exact words. I'll just read what he quoted here. So he said, in the last 5 years of the APC government, Nigeria has become more divided. There is more hate in the north and south, Christians and Muslims. APC has disintegrated. There is no more APC in Nigeria. There is no single job anywhere, either in the north or in the south. To us, it is the Nigerian president for the Nigerian people. I don't know what that means when he says it's the Nigerian president for the Nigerian people. But anyway, do we think under this government, Nigeria is more divided? So he's not saying Nigeria is now divided. He's saying Nigeria is more divided. So I think that word "more" is very important in this discussion. So we're divided before, but we're more divided now as Muslims, as Christians, northern and southern. So he's talking about ethnicity, he's talking about religion, he's talking about region. So Henry Oqua, do you want to react to this one? Do you think So do you think Nigeria is more divided under the APC government than it was under the PDP rule? And if you're saying yes or no, do I need evidence?
Yes, no.
Don't just say yes or no. How?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
During
Your mic.
sorry, during the Jonathan administration, was there ban? Did you feel anybody say so and so? What do they call it? So and so region was not properly represented in the federal government? Did you feel like that?
What did you ask? Sorry.
During that's not even a strong enough point. The moment the president stepped in, they asked him what were his plans to deal with people who have felt. In fact, it wasn't even a direct
The people
question
that didn't vote
at
for
management
him.
about. No, it wasn't necessarily. What the reporter, I can't remember her name. What she was saying was there are issues that are peculiar to particular regions. Now that you have come into office, how do you? That's what the woman was asking. Many people forget what the woman asked and have taken what Buhari responded. Buhari was completely off topic. If you ask me, now they were asking him what his plans were for addressing the issues in certain regions of the country. Do you understand? And then the president was very frank. I don't think Buhari has been more frank in his life as Nigeria's president. He said, to be frank, to be honest, you do not expect me to give the same attention and resources to people who gave me. And many
100%.
people even think, when people analyze this statement, they think that Buhari was off his mathematics, but really his maths did not make his arithmetic work. What Buhari was saying was, in a certain part of the country, they gave me 97% of their votes. In a certain part of the country, they gave me only 5% of their votes. People are thinking that it is 97 plus 5 that makes, they're supposed to make 100.
Oh, yeah, I know that
He was
argument.
very clear about what he was saying, that in certain regions, they gave him 97% of their votes, meaning if there are resources, if there are positions, you should have 97% of those positions. If there are positions, you who gave me 5% should have 5% of those positions.
Are we seeing that in reality in terms of what you're saying?
Yes.
How?
Look at your service chiefs.
Okay.
Look at your service chiefs. How many of them are from the north? Your IGP is from the north. Your chief.
Our.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I don't know if I can pull, but before I even pull that up, let me see. Before I even pull that up, the cry has been on for 5 years. Listen, if people will not raise alarm like this consistently.
What's the cry?
Marginalization.
Okay.
We are not seen, we are not heard. We are treated differently.
Who is we? Southeasterners?
Southeast, south, yeah. Even southwest to a large extent.
Southwest.
The issue that we just finished discussing is a clear example of we are being treated differently. It's a very, very clear example. IPOB proscribed.
Yeah.
Sunday, blah, 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 with his group, enemy of the state. Meanwhile, the biggest killer in Nigeria right now,
Allegedly.
directly behind malaria, is bandits, the group of bandits, Boko Haram, herdsmen and kidnappers. Those are the biggest killers right now. But the major problem is insecurity. But we cannot find a name to use and attach to this group.
Yeah, but Boko Haram has been proscribed.
There was no option. It wasn't this
There was no
administration.
option, because
if you had left it to this administration, I'm very sure that right now we would have been discussing whether they are our brothers or
Also, because
not
Boko
our
Haram became
brothers.
international, brother.
Oh. And under good luck administration anyway. Yeah.
You get. So yes, Nigeria is more divided. Honestly speaking,
You spoke on the ethnic part. Religion-wise, are we divided more now? Were we ever united in religious lines?
Never. See, Nigerians will tolerate anybody as long as their stomachs are full. As long as we are not hungry, as long as we are not running for our lives, live and let live. It is our way of life. Look at how we have been entertaining terrible government since we started. I can feed my family, blah, blah, blah. My children are not joining protests. My children are not taking arms against the state. That's what has been keeping Nigeria all this while. The moment Nigerians cannot take it anymore, the moment I cannot stand you because of what you represent as an ethnic entity or a religious entity, that's when Nigeria will actually boil. That's when Nigeria will boil. But right now, we are at our wits' end. We have been stretched as far apart as possible. And God help us, we don't stand.
Wow. Mr. Houston, do you want to react to this? Is
So-
Nigeria more divided? Are we more united? And why?
First of all, I'd like to point out that this statement is coming from Sule Lamido, right?
Yes, Sule
So,
Lamido.
First of all, you
From,
need to understand that it's a partisan statement.
Sorry,
That's one.
sorry.
No, please. You had your time. You had your time.
Houston,
You had your time.
Houston,
Wait,
hold on.
But you guys are not on different parties anyway, so
no,
we're
no,
just
no.
speaking.
The reason why I want to just come in here about.
Are you coming in or you're making your opinion?
you want
Because
to
if you're
counter
coming in,
him.
it will be very unfair. I need to.
So let
I
me
need to
go. Finish your statement.
Okay.
Land.
So
Enrico,
first of all, if it's coming
hold
from-
your thoughts.
If it's coming from
Yeah.
Sule Lamido,
Yes.
it has to be a political statement. It has to be seen as a political statement from his side. Secondly, I need to point out something as an historian. I mean, I studied history, so
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I don't think there was ever a time Nigeria was united.
Okay.
Nigeria has always been divided. I think the Buhari administration only typified it. And
So he said more. So that's why I emphasize on that word.
Buhari's
More.
administration only typified it. It only
Typified.
explained it further. It only elucidated what we already are going through, what we've been going through all our lives. I'll explain this now. I'll break it down for you. Now, growing up, I grew up in Lagos. I was born in Lagos, and I realized there was only one time when there was only a particular time I felicitated everyone on a particular issue, and it was Super Eagles. It was either during the Nations Cup or the World Cup. This was the only uniting factor in Nigeria for so many years. Now, if you've noticed, since I started talking about Nigeria, there was never a point where I called Nigeria a nation. Because as historians, we don't call Nigeria a nation. Political scientists will call Nigeria a nation. Nigeria is a state. It's a political setup.
Sovereign
It
state.
it is a structural setup by the British, as you already understand.
Yeah.
It is not a nation, because if you call Nigeria a nation, what is our common consciousness? What is our common goal? I believe what this man wants is different from what I want. What his people want is different from what my people want. So Nigeria is like a consortium, if you're looking at it from the business spectrum. It's people coming together to form
which
something.
now people are still calling for
definitely
division.
it will be very easy to snap when something comes up. Now, I'll give you a little illustration. If you are from a nuclear family, does a bad father necessarily make you hate your brother, your blood brother? Even no matter how you hate your brother, do you want to kill your blood brother?
No, that's my connection with my brother is different.
Thank you, because it's a nuclear family. But in a situation where you experience or where you practice polygyny, or like some would call polygamy, where you're all from different mothers, if an external factor holds on to one person, or somebody comes and starts to influence your father or something, it's so easy for everybody to latch onto their mother. Like this one goes to his mother, this other person goes to his mother. So I don't think Nigeria was ever that united. I don't think there was ever a time Nigeria was that united. I am an Igbo man. I'm also from River State. I'm partly from River State and partly from Igbo, from Imo State. And I've come to realize something, that even till this day, from the day I was born till this day, we still experience people in my father's side. In my father's side, they will call me this Igbo man because my mom is Igbo. In my mother's side, they will call me this Rivers man because. So there's never been that unity. There's never ever been that unity. So right now, I think this administration only brought it to light. It only brought it to light. So I will not necessarily knock down this administration for saying, or for what we experience right now, for the disunity we experience right now. It is only that it has only brought it. It has only made it more legible for us to see that we were never really united. And that's why it's easy for people like Nnamdi Kanu to garner support from all the Igbo-speaking people.
Yeah.
That's why it's easy for Sunday Igbo to say Yoruba nation or Oduduwa people, and people will support and say this man is our man. Because, come on, we don't speak the same language. What is our consciousness? The Oduduwa people, for instance, probably want to be all educated. The Igbo people will probably want to top in trade. The Hausa people probably want to have the most cows. These people have different perspectives, different objectives, different everything.
Sorry to cut you short here. But is there any country that is just made up of one set of people that don't have a different something, be it white or black or a culture or whatever? Is there any country of the world? Do you think there's any country that doesn't have some sort of division?
There are countries. There are countries like that. Now, in Africa, for instance, the countries that don't have as much multi-ethnicity as we have in Nigeria, and they suffer less problem. For instance, take Ethiopia. Ethiopia actually isn't one language, but you realize that they have a dominant language, not like Nigeria. The other people, like the people that are having issues right now, I've forgotten what they call them. They are like a very small minority, and if you understand, it was actually politically they were drawn into Ethiopia. Originally, they're from Djibouti, the close French republic that's close to Ethiopia. That's where they originally are from. So it's like when they were carving out Ethiopia, they somehow mistakenly carved those people in, and now those people are having crisis. But the main Ethiopians, how many times have you ever had Ethiopians fought themselves? So it is not a bad idea to actually get people together. It's not a bad idea. But you need to understand the people you're bringing together. You need to understand how these people are. That is why when you see people trust me, it is not, I'm not an Nnamdi Kanu apologist. Neither am I a Sunday Igbo apologist. But sometimes you beg to not understand, or you beg to understand what these people are actually saying. It's easier for them to garner support when they come out and say the things that they say. You see, when Nnamdi Kanu says, we cannot live with these people, they kill us, and just before midnight, you hear that they've killed people because they were moving their cows and they were pushing them from their farm. These people are farmers and these people are pastoralists. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So basically, my point, to summarize everything I've been saying, I think Sule Lamido is only using this as a political statement because, trust me, right now, for me, after elections, I take a centrist point of view. I'm not partisan again after elections. I support whoever is in power for our common good. Yep. But politicians will always be politicians.
Yes.
After elections, some of them will still use anything. Look at what's going on. Look at the farmer header crisis. During the NSAS protest, you saw Showori at the National Assembly going there. He was trying to canvass whatever support from the NSAS protest. You see lots of politicians, and Thank God for Nigerian youth. They'll always point it out to Nigerian politicians and tell them, look, we do not want you in this thing, because politicians will hijack anything and say anything with it. We're suffering header farmer crisis. We're suffering from killer headsmen right now. And you still find politicians coming to politicize the whole thing. So for Sule Lamido to say that kind of thing, I think if it came from some other person, I'll probably take it seriously. But if it's coming from Sule Lamido, it's structurally political.
I think there's a reason why Sule Lamido would say what he said.
Okay.
He himself and Atiku were instrumental as campaign officials for the MKO, the annulled MKO election. When MKO defeated Tofa, even in Kano, there was celebration in the north. Imagine that happening today. Can you imagine that a Southwesterner defeats a Northerner in an election today for the highest office in the land, and there will be celebration?
In 2011, when Goodluck Jonathan defeated Buhari, there was celebration in the north. Yes, there was celebration in the north. Facts. There was celebration in the north. There was celebration in the north.
Houston, I was in Zaria in the build-up to the election.
Were you in Kano?
Hold on. Do you know how the distance between Zaria and Kano? Do you know the distance between Zaria?
We had Kwankwa, so there was celebration in Kano. I'm sorry to interject, but there was celebration in Kano. Trust me, people hailed it because it was Yar'Adua's successor.
Hold on.
There was, and Goodluck Jonathan. So 1 minute. Goodluck Jonathan wouldn't have gotten into power without the support of the North.
Houston.
And you know that.
Houston. What you're saying explains the point that I'm trying to make.
Okay.
Whether Lamido is in the right place to say it or not, can you imagine in today's Nigeria someone from the south winning an election over someone from the north, and let there be any form of celebration in the north? Your 2011, what do they call it now? What you remember from 2011 is not complete. It's not complete. What you remember from 2011 is not complete. I saw the killings that happened after the elections.
Bauchi, yes.
In Zaria as well. And it was the PDP this thing that won the what do they call the governorship seat. So it's not exactly complete. Buhari was told to please call off his people. Do you understand? Now, in times past, you can remember when people celebrated Jonathan's victory. I can remember when people celebrated Abdulai's victory. Can anybody dare to see a southerner win a northerner in Nigeria today and let them celebration in the north? Is it possible? That's what Sule Lamido is saying. It is impossible. It is not possible. Only God knows how we are going to make it through the 2023 elections. Only God knows how. Whatever Nigeria emerges as after that.
Well, just like I said, I would have taken that statement very seriously. But two reasons why I wouldn't take it seriously. First of all, I don't believe there was ever a time Nigeria was very united. Secondly, it's coming from a politician, a seasoned politician like Sule Lamido from an opposition faction. So there's definitely no way I will take it seriously.
Which thanks.
Okay, anyway, so let's just move to the second to the last topic we have to talk about today.
I thought we were the last.
No, we're not the last one. We have to deal with this one of the 30,000 minimum wage thing. So there was a protest this week in Abuja on Wednesday, where the National Assembly. Okay, there was a protest this week on Wednesday to the National Assembly complex by NLC, that's the Nigerian Labour Congress, demanding for the withdrawal of a bill that would remove the national minimum wage, which is currently 30,000 naira, from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent legislative list. So the House of Representatives had about 2 weeks ago introduced the bill, which according to the sponsor of the bill, Honorable Garba Mohammed, would allow both the federal and state governments to freely negotiate the minimum wage with their workers. Yeah, so I'm saying, what do we think about this? Do we sense foul play here? Are the lawmakers up to something against the Nigerian workers by removing the bill from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent legislative list, where they now give powers to the state government to be able to determine what minimum wage they want to pay after agreeing at the 30,000 naira, which I think is still very ridiculous when we look at the cost of living in Nigeria right now, you know? So this could be looked on two different ways, you know, for sincere government, state government, if this is actually moved to the concurrent list, this could allow those governments that actually value their workers, this could give them room to pay them higher than the 30,000. Because when they were debating about this 30,000, wait, now you think it's funny. Some governors actually thought 30,000 was too small. Some, maybe, yeah, but I think so. Why some are still saying it's too much. And that's why the NLC thinks they are going behind the scene right now to try and move it from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent legislative list. That's what this is saying right now. So that's what the protest was about. They're trying to stop this, citing that these state governors are being dishonest and they're working in cahoots with the House of Reps or the National Assembly to treat Nigerian workers very unfairly and actually pay them even lower than this money that most state governors have not implemented till tomorrow, despite the ridiculous amounts of money that they actually make as salaries and allowances. I need you guys to react to this, though.
Are you going ahead?
I want to try.
Yeah.
The hope for all Nigerians is that we would have responsible leadership across all sectors. If I was governor of my state, I'd be happy that I am being allowed to negotiate minimum wage with the people with the labor union in my state. The reason being, there are realities on ground, economic realities. Whether I'm earning crazy amounts or the legislature are earning crazy amounts, I want to be able, if I can give you an incentive for you to work, I want to be able to have a performance standard that I can measure you by. So if I tell labor in my state that I want to set particular levels of output as the minimum, and we can discuss an increase in minimum wage, what I'll be doing may be revitalizing the civil service sector in my state. Do you understand? Now, a lot of our governors are weak and lazy. It's only when it comes to sharing the money that they come alive. And it is because our people have over time elected the worst among us to put in office. Do you understand? Now, it takes a lot to get our people to the consciousness of what the effect of one bad leader can mean to their own lives. Because for Nigerians, until you bring it to how it affects me, it does not affect me. Do you understand?
Yep.
But you can explain to the typical Nigerian that, oh no, this is where the money is moving from your pocket. That's when you come alive. Do you understand? But if I was a state governor, I would love this opportunity to tell the labor union that I want productivity to be increased to a certain level, and I'm willing to find the money to back that up.
But they are not going to Labour right now. They went to the National Assembly and they're trying to move this. There was no dialogue with the organized Labour. There was no dialogue with the NLC. That's where the NLC found out about this move and they decided to protest against it. So does it look foul?
So
Yeah.
There's no. See, I don't know what aspect of the state that you have confidence in this country. Whether it is the labor union, whether it is the legislature, everybody corrupt.
So why do you think
Do you
they
understand?
protested on Wednesday, in your opinion?
Did Ayuba Wada lead the protest?
Yes.
It's obvious now.
What else was going to be?
What's obvious? I don't know. Educate me.
Now, the standoff between Oshomole and Obasanjo made Oshomole capable of running for office and even winning election twice. Since Oshomole has always been seen as a launching pad to a political career. Now, if the NLC can see the hardship, now it's the problem for the Nigerian worker. The problem for the Nigerian worker is not just remuneration. Working environment is terrible. Working conditions terrible. The ability to even carry out work is terrible. How many of our civil servants are even, trained and retrained over time? Do you understand? But we want to focus on the popular issue of minimum wage or minimum wage. How have you fought, you as labor, you understand what it means for your members who are earning 30,000 naira to try and afford healthcare, to try and afford education for their children. Just look at the quality of what they're getting. You are not fighting the real problem. You're trying to fight the symptom.
But they proposed for 66,000 before now, but the governors of the states could not agree, so they had to agree for 30,000 naira, which most of them have not still implemented to this day, and they are trying to do it from the back door still as well to make sure that they don't pay it. Or can we see this from a different point of view, where can't we argue that some of these governors actually want to pay higher than this money? Is it impossible?
It's possible.
Okay.
It is possible.
Okay.
Because we have to look at it from both sides.
I think so.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Houston,
Okay.
Nigeria wears me out.
react to...
Well, Nigeria weighs everybody out, but then I think, we always use the US as our unit for measuring perfection.
Shouldn't.
We always use America for the unit for measuring
America to
perfection. Every
measure.
time we say America, US, in the US, in the US.
Yeah, they're battling their own minimum wage thing as well.
So permit me
They
to use the US. First of all, I think in Nigeria right now, we're literally begging the government to pay us less than $100 per month, which is actually very meager, if you ask me.
Who is we?
And the people.
No, they
the
didn't ask for
workers.
30,000 anyway.
I'm coming. The workers. And this was actually supposedly
Yeah,
implemented.
we're not the ones that asked for. That's what they decided to give the workers.
Okay, that's what they decided
yes.
to give. And now it's like, with the protests, they're asking it to remain at 30, right?
at 30,000.
That's what they're begging
Yes.
to earn less than $100 per month. Now, I'll tell you something. I do not think.
When he says $100, that's ridiculous.
I do not think.
Wow.
I do not think that.
Wow.
I do not think that, like you said, I do not think there's a seemingly underlying agenda, positive agenda by the government.
You don't think so?
To want to pay more than that, because I'll give you an instance now. Like presently in the US, from my little research in the US, first of all, one of the first executive orders that Joe Biden, the president of the US, actually passed was the minimum wage thing. He increased their minimum wage from $7.25 to $15.25.
Yes.
He asked that it should be immediately paid to people. And before he asked, it's like the federal government at the federal level was even challenging some of the states, because there's some cities that are already paying, about 5 notable cities. Seattle, which is actually the capital of Washington, this Washington state, San Jose, a city in California, New York City, Washington DC, the country's capital, and San Francisco. These 5 cities have actually paid above the normal minimum wage. They've been paying $15 respectively, $15.25, $15.45 respectively, since before the advent of Joe Biden. And Joe Biden came in, and Joe Biden is saying every state should pay at that level, should emulate. So it's like the federal government is even taking up the challenge by those cities.
Yeah,
so if in Nigeria, if these governors, like you're saying, if they have, like, say, a clandestine or say a subtle wish to want to pay higher, I think they should have started it, not going.
Yeah. But can I counter you and say that maybe that was why there's a move right now to move it, because there's an exclusive legislative list, they're trying to move it right now, because exclusive legislative list, to me, I think it means these are like federal issues.
Yes.
So when we take it right now to the concurrent legislative list, maybe those governors could do something about it before. Maybe they wanted to do something about it before, but they could not do anything about it before because their hands are tied. So maybe right now the governors of these states need the freedom to be able to do whatever you have said those governors in the USA.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question.
I'm just saying maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a question. Financial institutions in Nigeria, do they have a price cap for their levels for their different cadre of staff? Do they have, like,
in the US?
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
Yeah, financial institutions. I'm talking about audit institutions. Do they have a payment cap?
I think so.
Well, I don't think so. Ernest & Young actually starts entry level with about 700 or more. While Deloitte, where my younger brother actually worked in, actually started him with about 100 and something. So, if organizations actually can pay different things,
okay,
I don't think there is any state right now that can pay more than 30,000 naira, more than $100 per month to their civil servants, and the federal government will counter that, will ask them to reduce it. I do not think. And secondly, just like my brother here, Henry, has said, this is Nigeria. we unfortunately do not have that much confidence in any sector of the in any level of government, whether at the state level or at the federal level. So we cannot come out now and say we think or we actually believe that the government wants to pay more. That's why they want it to come down to the concurrent list. So for me, I think even if they wanted it to come to the concurrent list because of their positive agendas, I think they should have let it know. They shouldn't make it look like.
So it looks far. That was my argument.
It looks a little bit iffy. So.
Okay.
I don't have much confidence in that.
Okay, let's move from there. So, where's this right now? Yeah, so on Wednesday as well, the NLC president, Ayuba Waba, stated that 9 state governors are anti-workers, used the word anti-workers, mentioning indirectly just the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, as we know, inferring that they are working against the interest of Nigerian workers. I think we debated on that one right now. So to end, I want us to have this very extensive discussion,
Sorry, before you continue,
yeah.
I have a question to ask. I'm asking, I mean, you're conversant with the North and you are also conversant with the North.
Okay.
How come, of these 9 states, how come every single state in the middle belt line, that's central, north central, has not been able to, or have not been able to meet up that 30,000 naira? I mean, if Plateau State is not meeting it, but Benue should meet it. If Benue isn't meeting it, Taraba should meet. Yeah. But every single state in the north central line, that middle belt line, haven't.
They don't want to. Yeah, be simple.
They've not paid for a day. They've not paid that minimum.
Yeah, because they don't want to pay it. I think it's part of the greed, in my opinion, where this argument is actually valid, where they are anti-workers.
The 9 states comprise every state in the middle belt,
they
and Cross River, Abia State, with one other state somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's obvious now. If you don't want to implement something, it means you don't want to do it.
Quite unfortunate.
So to end, I want us. We're still on the employment discussion, but we're leaving the government area right now. We're moving to the private area. So I want us to discuss. Do we think employees, laborers, workers in general in Nigeria, are they appreciated? Are they valued? Private firms right now, we're not talking about government, so employees in private firms, do you think employers actually value employees? If you say yes or if you say no, or do we think, okay, I'm just gonna go with this. So I've seen different scenarios. I worked somewhere before, in 2019 in a private firm, a news firm. And observed very privileged boss, a former governor's daughter, running the place, very privileged. But I noticed the way she treated the staff, no matter how hardworking, because I saw the workforce she had. So this was not a case of, these people don't know what they're doing or these people are not efficient. These were pillars, obviously. These are guys that I was working with. I could see their commitment to your vision, to the employer's vision. They were there. This one is minding his post, this one is giving his best here, that one is giving his best here, but most of them felt very unappreciated, be it with the pay or the way they were being spoken to. Like in this office, there was nothing for even staff welfare. There were no ACs in the offices, there were no fans, there were no blinds, there was nothing to make these people feel like they are human beings. Any small thing that happens, you are quick to cut their salaries. You don't want to even hear when something has happened. There's no room for fair hearing. So this was an environment where I could see people that were willing to work, employees that were willing to give their best and they knew what they were doing. So I'm separating this from having a workforce. Why should you even have a workforce that's not even efficient? I will not employ you if you're not efficient to me. Once you have employed, I believe you believe these people have one value or the other that they're bringing to your company. Or do we think these employers actually do this as a way to keep the workers grounded? Do they feel like if they appreciate these people, their heads are going to get big-headed, and maybe they might leave, or maybe they might not challenge me or whatnot? Do we think that when we value labor in Nigeria, it actually, do we think it will reduce their efficiency, or do we think it will boost their efficiency? Or are the workers in Nigeria just not worth valuing? I don't know. I would like to hear from you guys.
Can I take a stab at this?
Yeah.
Tell me one thing in Nigeria that we value apart from
No, Henry, we can't just say that though.
No, really.
When you have workers working for you, I believe the people, the human beings, they deserve respect.
I'm trying to shine. I'm trying to shine.
Yeah, but I
light
get
on
you.
Where the genesis of this thing
And
is.
wait, let me chime this in as well. This crossed my head still as well. You know, like where they make the employees feel like, oh, if you leave, I'll get somebody. You know, but me as an employer, I am very aware and very honest with myself to realize that there are some people that are not just replaceable. You might replace them, but they are valuable. And it doesn't take anything away from me to let a worker that has that value know that you are valued. I don't want you to go. I'm not kissing your ass anyway, so to say, but I'll let you know that you're a pillar here. I respect what you bring to the table. And it doesn't,
This is, I feel like at every time, the family is the microcosm of society. What you see at the family level is what you see at society's level, on a wider scale. Now, even the foreign companies that come into Nigeria learn very quickly how to treat Nigerian staff.
Yeah, from Nigeria.
From Nigeria. Do you understand?
oh wow, in the bad way.
In a bad
Not
way.
the good
Do you
way.
understand?
Yeah.
Now, what this means is that at the family level, at the community level, maybe even at the religious level, we're used to abuse. The Nigerian people have been abused for so long. If you don't shout at me, Seth, it will look as if that's not when I will not come alive until you shout at me. Do you understand? Now, what this means is the person, and sorry, another thing to add to this is the level of poverty. Poverty is not just the absence of money in the pocket, but it is the perception, it is the feeling that what you have in front of you is all that you can get. That is poverty. This is all that you can get. This is your value. That's why you see people in abusive relationships, they cannot speak up. You see people in abusive relationships at work, in church and whatnot, they cannot speak up because they feel like this is what I deserve. This is what I deserve.
Wow.
Do you understand? Now, when you have a system like that, and one person has the cup and can use a pipette and give one drop here, one drop there. Meanwhile, this cup can get filled at any time that the person wants. That's the problem with Nigeria. Do you understand? Now, irrespective of where we face this thing, the attitude that we have is one of continuous oppression over a long period of time. There's nobody that's going to fight for us. Our labor union, you can see how they are failing to even get us decent minimum wage. What is saving the people in the private sector? Who is going to fight for the people in the private sector? Nobody. Nobody. Today you come into the office, your boss doesn't like your face, you're fired. It doesn't matter. You come in, you're working for an organization, there's no health insurance. Do you understand? Now, that's why I asked initially, what do we value in Nigeria more than money? Nothing. The late Ubon King was in the Niger Delta some years back, and he was calculating to them the value of one life to a Nigerian politician. 1 naira 33 kobo per day. That's what he calculated. This is off 2,000 naira that they give you every 4 years during the election. That is the value of a Nigerian life. That's why you hear that so some people die, does the government care?
This is not government though, this is private firm.
It is part of the system. It is part of the culture. Do you understand? Now, if we have a means of pushing against it, I bet you, sir, if you have 5 colleagues in your office and you want to push against the money that you are earning, you want better welfare, by the time you get to HR's desk and you are trying to find people to sign that petition, you will not find up to 3 other people to sign that petition with you.
What?
It's as simple as that. Because it is a cultural thing. It is something that is in the minds of our people. They will say, by the time this one goes home to discuss it with you, you say, you are the one, you want to join this thing so that you will lose the only job. That's the value that man has for himself. That, okay, abuse and everything put together is all calculated in this money. They've abused me 30,000 naira abuse. they put me under terrible conditions. That's 20,000 naira. That's the value that man has extracted from that thing that he's doing. That's the reason why he's there sitting down and not saying anything.
Wow. Mr. Houston, react.
Well, clearly, I will tell you that I've worked in a few places, about over 3 NGOs, and the first place I worked in, even though I worked as an intern, when I first moved to Abuja in 2017, I was paid with, not money, I was given, for every month I worked there, I was given Milo and milk.
Yeah, it's funny too.
Are you saying literally?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. I was
Milo
giving
and
her
milk.
But then I wouldn't
Powdered milk.
So how many sachets?
milk. So back to what I'm saying.
Sorry.
Now this was how I was paid when I
Okay,
first
this
moved
is
to
weird.
Abuja.
Yeah.
But then I would not, because of that, I would not say, I mean, we all have different realities, but I would not say Nigerian workers are undervalued. I would say some Nigerian employees undervalue their workers. So some Nigerian employers
undervalue their employees.
But not all of them. There's some of them who actually do what is necessary.
Yeah.
I've also worked in a place where at the end of the month I was being paid 1.2 million naira every month. And all these places were in Nigeria. I've never worked outside Nigeria before. These were both in Nigeria. These are all these places were in Nigeria. So what I'm trying to say basically is, I think it all boils down to the employer you're talking about. So basically it depends. And I think we can actually do better in Nigeria. We can do better, like you rightly said. Employers using words like, if you misbehave, I will replace you easily.
Yeah.
Things like that are unfair. It is so unfair to use a word like that or to use words like that for your employers, for your employees rather. We can actually do better in Nigeria. Right now, for me, I'm at the point in my life where I'm not looking at the problem anymore now. I'm looking for the solution. The problem is already a given. It is there, we can see it. So I'm looking for solutions, and I believe people can actually do better. People can actually do better. What he said was actually correct. One of my cousins got into one of these financial institution, an auditing institution, and was so happy that he got into the place until he heard how much they were paying them. Meanwhile, when he went online and he saw how much they were paying his colleagues, people at his level overseas, it's even an American audit company, when he saw how much they were paying his colleagues, he was astounded. He was like, what is this? This is not why I got into it. It's because I have always read about these people. But of course, they came into Nigeria. They say that inside rat, outside rat. So they came into Nigeria and they're like, well, we can actually save cost and pay zero peanuts. This is what their people do to their people. Do you understand? So I will try to use this point or this platform as an admonition to those foreign workers who come into Nigeria to try to maintain their standard. It's not about Nigeria, it's about your standard.
Yeah.
Try to maintain your standard. The Nigerian system, we're still working on it. It's still in progress. It will get better, hopefully. Sometime, we don't even know. Probably not in my lifetime, or probably in my life. Hopefully in my lifetime. But for you who already have a standard, maintain that good standard that you already have, and do not conform to the Nigerian system.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. But what solution can we say in terms of the employees? What can they do? What can employees do to make themselves valuable or not tolerate these things? Like Henry said, we collect 30,000 naira for the insult, 30,000 naira for this and this.
I will not tell.
Should we stop taking those kind of behaviors from these employers, or do you say, there's no job anywhere, so I'd rather be here?
I have been employed. I have tasted employment and I have tasted unemployment. My brother, unemployment is completely distasteful. It's not something I would admonish anybody to get into. So I will also not tell you to slave. But my brother, you must have a plan. My advice to every Nigerian youth out there is, you must have a plan for your life. If you're suffering today, if you're eating from crumbs, you should not expect to eat from crumbs in 5 years' time. You should plan ahead. Okay. So if you're going to take all of that insult because you're gaining experience, matter of fact, I did also tell you again that the place where I was being paid with milk and Milo, when I got to the place where I was earning 1.5 million naira per month, after they recruited me, they told me that it was only one thing they saw on my CV that made them recruit me.
What?
The fact that I once worked extensively in that place where I was being paid milk and Milo. So you see, even the milk and Milo place was a blessing. So all I will admonish Nigerians, what I will try to tell Nigerians with this platform is, I'm coming. I will explain to you. I will explain to you. If you do not have a plan and you say, at my level, because it could be perceived as, to you it could be confidence, to some people it could be arrogance. It could be perceived as arrogance. You saying I'm being paid 120,000 naira when my mates overseas are earning 500,000. My brother, until you have structural plan on how to get overseas, if you're still in Nigeria, humble yourself and take that thing until your plan is actually accomplished or actualized.
You are talking about money, though. You're talking about money. What about taking the 100,000 naira and hey, you're a fool? They're even physically abusing you.
Well, listen.
Yeah, because that happens still as well,
It
where
happens.
an employer is slapping an employee.
That's abuse. If an employer lays his hands on an employee, my brother, I think that is your opportunity to cash out. I keep telling everybody.
In Nigeria.
But you never.
Yeah, I'm looking for. See, I'm telling you the truth. I'm looking for the employer. I'm sorry, my voice
That's
is coming
you
up,
though.
but I'm
That's
looking for the employer that will
you
raise his
though.
hands
Yeah.
on me.
But that's
I'm honestly
you
looking for
because you're
that. If I do not take
educated.
over that company,
Yeah.
You know your rights.
Exactly. You're speaking about you. An average Nigerian is not like you. Yeah.
When we discuss these issues, the 1.2M, the Milo M, we have the Milo and Milo. Sorry, that's so hilarious.
Oh, it's a language. Yeah.
I
It's
understand
ridiculous.
what you're saying. We should think about the percentages. Do you understand? A large percentage of the people that you see boarding the Aerofly buses in the morning are facing situations where they cannot cash out.
Yes.
Their level of education,
Yes.
their culture,
Yes.
the level of exposure,
Yes.
and the stand or the body language of
Yes.
whoever it is that's supposed to protect them
Yes.
does not give them the position to cash out. I had a friend who was a victim of sexual abuse with evidence. Up till today, she can't go to court yet. She can't go to court. Do you understand? Now, as much as that is the positive extreme, so to speak, of the problem, yeah, we have the negative extreme. I feel like what is more realistic is for us to begin to question tiny manifestations of abuse in our lives, in our homes.
People have questioned.
In our homes. That's what I mean.
Okay, homes.
In our homes, from our communities. Do you understand? Now, from small, you will know whether you understand. You fit take on the big one. If you can, if you're at home and you're maybe living with an extended family and you're treated like a slave or you're treated in a particular way and you're not aware of the fact that how you're being treated is wrong, there's nothing you can do about it. So when you go to the office and your dad says, lie down here, let me stand on you and do something, it will happen.
Wow.
Yeah, you're correct. Actually,
chime
we want to feed into what he's saying.
Okay.
He's actually right because, of course, our homes are the nucleus of every society. That's
Yes.
the smallest component of every society, the larger society. So we must question things in our homes. We must start to question. I tell people every time that fighting corruption in Nigeria doesn't have to do with youth in power or old people in power.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with what we do, the little things we do against corruption in our homes. Until people, children or youth are able to stand up and tell their parents that daddy, this thing you're doing is corrupt, that you're stealing from your office, mommy, you're stealing from your office and it is wrong. That is the only time Nigeria will get better because everybody, all these names, when you call corruption, we call names, big names. All these people have houses, they have homes, they have families. What did their families do when they started these things at the very small level, the home level, society level? Do you understand? Until they grew into the bigger spectrum. That's when they started doing this thing, and that's when we started noticing it. So I would want to agree with what he's saying, that it still boils down to what we do in that our family level until we start calling it out from the domestic level.
Okay, and I would like to add to that to say that it's one thing to call and it's one thing for them to listen. You can call out, but the person you're calling out should listen to you. Yeah, because if they are not listening still, nothing is going to change.
Final thing.
Yes.
We're all leaders, we're young leaders.
Yes.
In every situation you find yourself, try to set a precedent because there's something, I used to live with one of my uncles, there's something he always says. If his wife then took food from the kitchen to her room, he will yell at her. And when she says, "Why are you shouting at me?" She'll say, "The children are watching you." Every time he talks to her, if she's driving the car with the handbrake up, he will be like, "Why are you doing this?" And she says, "Why?" He will say, "The children are watching you." So he's always more particular about what the children are saying because he knows that the children have pictorial view. They see things and they capture it. So it is very important that in every situation we find ourselves in, we should learn to lead positively because people are watching.
Wow.
He was also setting a bad precedent for the kids by raising his voice. So while he was raising his voice to correct,
I never said he raised his voice. He would talk to him.
but you said he shouted.
Okay, shout. Well,
You guys are not serious. Okay,
Well,
we are done. So that's what we have to remember. President Buhari, Obasanjo, Abacha, your governors, all politicians are not the problems of this country. You and I are the problems of this country. Because if we all do our part and strive each day to be great humans and spread love to all and not some, do our businesses with integrity and value, Nigeria will become a great country. See you all in our next episode.